Welcome, my fellow door openers. We are on the fourth episode of Doors of the Universe podcast. Recording today on July 14th. And right now, there's been a couple of things going on in our area of expertise in the news. First off, I don't know if you were here for the first episode, but if you haven't listened to it yet, that episode was on the Georgia Guidestones, which 1 week ago, on the 7th, was bombed. So I think it was one day after I had released, 1 month and 1 day after I had released the Georgia Guidestones episode, my first episode on this podcast. They got bombed and they were destroyed. So Gumbarrow and Gumbaroo and Colossal Claude, if you're out there and you can hear this, watch out. They're coming for us. They're coming there. I put the information out there and then somebody goes around and just tries to destroy it. So stay on high alert. This could be a dangerous time 1 month after the release. But there's that. What else we got? The NASA's been doing things. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration is out there with their new telescope, the James Webb Space Telescope. It's giving us some of the crispest. The word is there, I know it. Some of the most crisp pictures of our galaxy we have to date. And if you haven't seen it, it is absolutely stunning. It's beautiful. Look it up. I posted a picture on the Instagram and Twitter. But yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen it already, it was a couple days ago. A lot of the stuff has been dropping and pictures showing up, but it is absolutely stunning. Just a little quick off the NASA website. The landscape of mountains and valleys speckled with glittering stars is actually the edge of a nearby young star-forming region called NGC 3324 in the Carina Nebula. Captured in infrared light by NASA's new James Webb Space Telescope, this image reveals for the first time previously invisible areas of starbirth. Called the Cosmic Cliffs, Webb's seemingly three-dimensional picture looks like craggy mountains on a moonlit evening. In reality, it is the edge of the giant gaseous cavity within NGC 3324, and the tallest peaks in the image are about 7 light years high. The cavernous area has been carved from the nebula by the intense ultraviolet radiation and stellar winds from extremely massive hot young stars. Looking at these massive hot young stars located in the center of the bubble above the area shown in the image. Look at these pictures. They're beautiful. They're just, yeah, it's amazing. Also, fun fact that the James Webb is helping us out with, Stephen's Quintet, a visual grouping of 5 galaxies, is best known for being prominently featured in the holiday classic film It's a Wonderful Life, which is my favorite Christmas movie. If you haven't seen It's a Wonderful Life, check it out. Today, NASA's James Webb Space Telescope reveals Stephen's Quintet in a new light. This enormous mosaic is Webb's largest image to date, covering 1/5 of the moon's diameter. It contains over 150 million pixels and is constructed from almost 1,000 separate image files. The information from Webb provides new insights into how galactic interactions may have driven galaxy evolution in the early universe. We're here, people. We're seeing it. We are in the future. We're getting there. I was just enlightening some of my coworkers about the UAPs from 2019, which they did not even realize was a thing. Well, they knew the UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, no longer UFOs, because I don't know why. But either way, the UAPs are out there, and it's been confirmed by our government. We have UAPs. We don't know where they're from. Everybody else that we interact with says it's not their technology, but I believe it was 80 different encounters that they had on file. Either way, it is an amazing time to be alive. It's an amazing time to be so fully engaging in space exploration. I think I heard recently NASA also had recordings of something that sounded like a heartbeat, but they're not sure where it's coming from. It's in space, but they're not sure the origins. So, telling you, the mothership's coming. They're coming back for us. Just scoop us up and take us out. No, I'm just kidding. Or am I? Either way, it is exciting that NASA is doing so much right now. I love space. That's honestly it's either nature or space documentaries. If I want to just like chill out and sit back and watch a documentary, it's either going to be on nature or space. Not the ocean. Never the ocean. But yeah, we're back. It is the 4th episode and the conclusion of our Rogues Monsters of IPA series. A little sad. It's been a fun little run learning about some cryptids local to the Northwest. Today, it's probably actually, out of all of them, the most famous one. Had the most articles on it, and seemed to have the most concrete sighting as far as somebody seeing it, reporting it, and other news organizations reporting on it as well, not just besides one person's encounter, but there are plenty of solo encounters that we will talk about today as well. So what is it? What are we talking about today? I know you're wondering, I'm wondering. Well, I'm not wondering, I already know, because I did the research. I dug deep. I went in all the crevices of Google and found all the best information for us on today's cryptid, which is the one, the only, Batsquatch. So Batsquatch. This is, it sounds exactly, the name, they did a good job naming it because it sounds exactly like what it is. You think of a Sasquatch and a bat, and then you combine those two things together, and you get a a Batsquatch. All right, so what is Batsquatch? What is Batsquatch? The Batsquatch is a flying cryptid that was allegedly seen near Mount St. Helens in the 1980s. It resembles a flying primate similar to the Ahul and the Orangbati of Southeast Asia, and its name is portmanteau, derived from the words bat and Sasquatch. Bat and Sasquatch. What is portmanteau, you say? I had to look it up, and if you don't know it, we're both learning a new word from this podcast today. So portmanteau, I believe its origins are French. What it normally means is a large traveling bag, typically made of stiff leather and opening into 2 equal parts. But in this case, the second most common one, it's a word blending the sounds and combining the meanings of 2 others. For example, motel or brunch, which we all know brunch is breakfast and lunch, that fine meal in between where you can drink all the mimosas you want and Bloody Marys. And be totally normal. Nobody judges. Nobody judges on Sunday brunches. Some judge. Most don't judge on Saturday brunches either. I don't judge ever. You do you. Whatever's going to work for you. I have had some good Sunday brunches. All right. But motel, which was new to me, is a not the word itself. I've heard motel. You've heard motel. No, but motorist hotel. What I always understood motel to mean was the difference between a motel and a hotel was that a motel had openings from the outside. You didn't have to go through a lobby and couldn't get in from the outside if you were at a hotel. But at a motel, you had your own entrance into your room on the outside of the building. But either way, a motorist hotel. Fun. Portmanteau and what the portmanteau for motel means. Either way, we're not here for Noah Webster today. We're here for Batsquatch. So the description, what is the Batsquatch looking like? This creature was said to be humanoid in appearance, with glowing yellow eyes, a dog-like muzzle, blue or purple fur, depending on the lighting of the night, sharp teeth. Some I've heard, some I haven't, say bird-like feet, but definitely leathery bat-like wings that span up to 50 feet. We're talking about a 50-foot wingspan here, people. That's a big bat. But, I mean, the Batsquatch is also said to be 9 feet tall and has the ability to affect car engines. So if we're looking at a Batsquatch, which is, he's one of your beefier boys, or the big ones, 9 feet tall, you're gonna need that 50-foot wingspan to be getting off the ground. So sightings. This Batsquatch, this 9-foot creature with this 9-foot cryptid. It's a cryptid because we have eyewitness accounts, but we don't have scientific proof. So this cryptid is 9 feet tall and has a 50-foot wingspan. Where has it been seen? So it is widely reported that May 1980 was the first time the creature was supposed to have been seen, and it showed itself in the shadow of the clouds during the Mount St. Helens eruption. In the wake of the rampant destruction, scattered rumors began to come in from people claiming to have seen a humanoid creature with an ape-like body, glowing eyes, and sweeping bat-like wings lurking in the remote areas of the devastation. Whatever it was most often described as being rather sinister in nature, emanating an intense feeling of dread, and there were even claims that it had killed pets or livestock. Yet, while those sightings began trickling in from the 1980s, they were not taken very seriously, and it was not until 1994 that the sighting that would launch real interest in this case would occur, while also showing that the creature had increased its range beyond merely Mount St. Helens. So 1994, this is, we get our first of several false, quote-unquote, false Batsquatch reports. How can we be sure? Who knows? Who knows false or true? You know, people see what they see. I'm a firm believer in that. All right. So the first of several false Batsquatch reports. One report of an up-close encounter with Batsquatch was posted on Batsquatch.com, and it was supposed even printed in a local newspaper. The validity of this report is in question, however. Yomidians take cover under the shadow of a suspicious creature. Mountain News Fair continues to dominate the men, women, and children of this town as a dark shadow looms overhead. Suspicions persevere, and rumors spread as far too many sightings of a winged bat-like creature go unexplained. It started as a childish rumor after the May 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens and has spread to the community horror as the truth Batsquatch over Mount Rainier continues to emerge. While preparing for a climb in 1994, a local mountaineer and liquor store owner, Butch Whitaker, managed to take several pictures of the beast during a rare midday flight. Butch Whitaker, expert in paranormal activity and unexplained phenomena, considers himself lucky to have experienced this encounter, but adds, "I'm not surprised. These things happen to me all the time." Well, aren't you lucky, Butch? Although government officials deny the existence of any photographic evidence, our staff experts closely scrutinized all photos and found no reason to hold this position. To date, 4 goats, 5 chickens, 2 cows, and our prize pig are unaccounted for. No humans are reported missing, but this is no measure of the never-ending toll placed on this community's pride and mental well-being. All Pioneer Day festivities were canceled last week, and with the recent loss of Priscilla Pig, scheduled dancing this Saturday presumably will fall prey to the monstrous being as well. Neither Police Chief Durham nor our mayor will estimate potential long-term effects of continued attacks, but both were obviously saddened by the loss of Priscilla. Rest in peace, Priscilla. Batsquatch got hungry. This Batsquatch report has been denounced as fake by the people of wellsinspace.com. Their arguments seem valid, and the story seems suspicious at best. Now we come to our favorite, most popular of the Batsquatch reports, which happened in April of 1994 with Brian Canfield, who was driving in Washington's Pierce County when his truck suddenly died. Canfield said a large creature landed in front of him. He said it was human-like, 9 feet tall, with bat-like wings, and also sported a coat of blue fur. So April of 1994. Is this our first confirmed real sighting of Batsquatch? Or I'll let you decide. One solid report of Batsquatch comes from an interview posted in the News Tribune out of Tacoma and written by C.R. Roberts. Both the paper and C.R. Roberts are real, and that makes this a much more believable account of a Batsquatch encounter. Here's an excerpt from the article that Roberts wrote about Brian Canfield's up-close encounter with what sounds like Batsquatch. The engine died, and the dashboard lights fell dark. Although he hadn't applied the brakes, the pickup truck he was driving stopped suddenly, abruptly, square in the middle of the road, there between the edge of the forest and the scrubby, clear-cut field. His headlights cut a hole through the night. He sat wondering what was wrong. Then he saw the feet descending. Bird feet, claw feet, then the legs, the torso, the chest. And the wings folded, attached to the back of the broad shoulders. Then the head, that face. The creature 9 feet tall, 30 feet away, blue-tinted fur, yellowish eyes, tufted ears, and sharp, straight teeth. With a dust-raising thud, it landed. Brian Canfield, 18, held tight to the steering wheel. He was alone and on his way home, from Buckley to the isolated settlement of Camp 1, located in the Mount Rainier foothills above Lake Kapowsin. He doesn't take drugs. He's a high school senior known locally as an average, normal kid. It was standing there staring at me, like it was resting, like it didn't know what to think, Canfield said. I was scared. It raised the hair on me. I didn't feel threatened. I just felt out of place. It's looking right at me, like in a deep stare, like right through me. It's standing perfectly still. It stood for how long? A few minutes? Several minutes? Then its fingers twitched, and its wings began to unfold. Those wings were as wide as the road. It turned its head and looked back at me and started flapping its wings, Canfield said. Then slowly it rose, and so great was the turbulence, the truck began to rock and sway. Slowly the creature flew off in the direction of Mount Rainier. A few minutes later, the truck just started, Canfield says. I took off as fast as I could. Skeptics will play this off as the ramblings of a teenager, but this seems unlikely, and Brian Canfield was held up to be a responsible person with nothing to gain by fabricating such a story. 1998. Another Batsquatch sighting story that makes the rounds is that of a hiker that saw a Batsquatch take a hit from a log truck and fall into the canyon below. No location is given, and the fact that it was posted on Batsquatch.com originally makes it highly suspect of being real. So received February 3rd, 1998. It was a dark and stormy night. I had taken a fall and landed not too far from the edge of a cliff. Being knocked out, I don't know how long I had laid there. Perhaps 3 or 4 hours. My watch had been torn off by the fall, along with most of my gear. I was barely conscious when I heard a loud, deep bass-like yell from the air. The sound was accompanied by a semi-truck horn from below the cliff from which I had almost rolled off hours earlier. I gazed below, trying to focus my eyes to see clearly. My head pounded from the fall I had taken. It was impossible to realize that the next few moments would change my life forever. What I saw, I kept secret for many years, mainly because I had a good job and I didn't want to lose it. Perhaps I shouldn't have kept silent. My silence has caused the death of so many animals and put a town at risk. At risk of what? I will let you be the judge. I will not come out and let my name be known. However, I will tell you what happened that night and the following days. You can be the judge. I was able to witness a logging truck filled full of Douglas firs hit a large object in the middle of the narrow dirt logging road. I thought it was a large stump at first, but the object, upon being struck, bounced into the air, almost flying, then fell into the canyon below. It was strange, because I could have sworn the object was purple and had wings, but I attributed the color to my blood-stained glasses, the wings to my inability to see very clearly at the moment. What I did see was a cloud of dust from the semi as its brakes were applied. The driver attempting desperately to miss the object on the road. At first the truck slid headlong into the object. Then as the truck hit the thing, it must have dazed the driver off the truck because the long semi abruptly swung left, hitting the cliff wall, then jackknifing. The rear of the trailer still sliding slowly as it swung precariously near the edge of the right side of the road, 100 feet above the steep, rocky-walled valley below. Then, as if in slow motion, the dirt road under the rear of the trailer gave way, and the rig slowly started booming, falling, trailer first, over the edge of the road. It was as if something had clutched the back of the trailer and pulled it over the side of the logging road. I desperately tried to see through the cracked windshield of the semi before it, too, followed the rest of its trailer over the edge of the road. Always I will remember the sound of the twisting metal, as the truck slid down the valley cliff and crashed to the bottom. There was no explosion, no fire, just the sound of metal scraping against rock and echoing off the canyon walls. A few moments later, only silence and a small cloud of dust rose from the valley below me. I couldn't see where the truck ended its slide down the rocks. It had disappeared below the steep sides of the canyon. The forest was eerie. Of all the things a person could think of after such a terrible accident, what I remember the most is the silence of the forest. There was no wind, no sounds of birds, nothing. It was as if time had stopped. The forest had ceased to be alive. Reality finally set in. I thought of how I'm going to go down to see if the driver was still alive. No, that had to be crazy. No one could have survived such an event. I suddenly realized that I was sore and bruised everywhere. Now, my reality was coming back to me as I felt the wet blood on my forehead. I slowly moved my legs. Thank goodness I could still move them. I slowly tried each of my other appendages, hoping I was still in one piece from my fall. How many hours before? Judging by the sun, it appeared to be mid-afternoon. The last I could recall, it was 10:30 in the morning. After assessing I was still in one piece, I cleaned my glasses and began looking for a way to the floor of the valley. It wouldn't have been easy without a very long rope and some experience in rappelling. I had neither. I decided the best course of action would be to hike back out and get help. I had gone only about 10 feet into the dense underbrush when I heard and felt an unusually strong gust of wind. The forest was still unusually quiet. I decided to sit down and enjoy the breeze, hoping it would give me a brief moment of refreshing before I began my hurried march to get help. As I sat in the dense brush, a large shadow came over my part of the forest. I gazed out, and as incredible as it may seem, I witnessed a large purplish beast descend onto the very spot where I, only moments earlier, had laid. It had with it another beast that was battered and not moving. To my horror, I realized that this second beast was the object the truck driver had hit on the road. My first thought was to rush up to the beast and ask if it would help me discover if the truck driver was still alive. Obviously, I had not recovered from my head wounds at the time. Fortunately, I regained my senses and decided not to go rushing up to this creature with my arms waving about. Enough about me. I'm sure the reader would like to know what this creature looked like. It was purple. Yes, I know you already have guessed that from my earlier description, but when I say or write that it was purple, I mean it was really purple. Its skin, claws, hair, nostrils, everything about the creature was purple, like a bad Jimmy Osmond dream. I have known people who have disputed that there is such a color as purple, meaning that either purple is a shade of blue or a shade of brown. If any of them were to witness this creature, they would understand what the color of purple is. I couldn't describe it as a deep purple nor a deep purple nor a dirty purple. Only a purple in its purest form. The creature stood about 15 feet high when it was sitting, hunched over in front of me. I later discovered that this creature would measure an easy 30 feet from head to bottom, once it was airborne. I say bottom because it didn't really have a tail. The head of the animal was unusually small compared to its massive body. The beady purple eyes would remind anyone who has the misfortune of seeing them believe that this creature could be of the raton family, while other characteristics of the head also had many features of the raton family. Being of noteworthy comment is long pointed ears from which protruded from the top of the creature's head. The nose was rather small, the most pronounced feature of this nose being its unusual color of purple. I believe this is the only creature in the world that has a purple nose. The wingspan of the creature looked very small, as if it couldn't fly with such a small wing surface. However, I later learned, once the creature was airborne, the wings extended out to form a wingspan of a good 40 feet. The most disturbing feature of the large beast was its hands. It appeared to have 4 sets of them. Perhaps I should clarify that to mean 2 sets of claws, hands, on the wings, about midway, and another set on the torso, almost as if they were human. I didn't notice the hands near the torso until another encounter with the large animal the next day. The creature was very frightening to look at, and could almost be a cross between a large bat and an excessively large furry human. I believe the most accurate description would be that given by some of the local townsfolk, whom later had the misfortune of encountering the beast and naming it Batsquatch. Well, perhaps I've mentioned too much. My worst fears are that I'll be traced by my email address and someone would know my location, thus making me a laughing stock of my community and ending my rather prestigious position within the city. If you would like to hear more of the story, you may email me. However, should you make any attempt to trace my email address, I will deny everything. Signed, The Believer. I didn't mention this was going to be a story time episode, so there's quite a few stories, quite a few reports of the Batsquatch. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy all the stories I've gathered for you as we go on with the Batsquatch. So yeah, this is that is quite the story of the Batsquatch. Yeah, it's one of the few times I've heard it say where it had 2 sets of hands, like one's extended from its arms and then one that are actually part of the wings. And the height alone, it said it was 30 feet in length, sitting in front of him. So I don't know. That seems like that one seems like some good creepypasta, I'll tell you what. But Batsquatch.com. I looked on Batsquatch.com and I wasn't finding these stories. But either way. So there was a possible second sighting that was also reported in 2009 near Mount Shasta in California. Batsquatch is making some moves. He's getting around. Several hikers witnessed a huge creature with leathery wings spanning 50 feet fly out of the crevice in the mountain. At first, an eyewitness described the creature as having a head similar to a pterodactyl. However, upon reconsideration, the witness claimed it was more akin to a flying fox bat. Paul Dale Roberts posted on the site Unexplained Mysteries an encounter recounted to him by some hikers on Mount Shasta that sounds like Batsquatch. Caller, me and my friends were hiking around Mount Shasta, and out of one of the crevices flew out this big creature. I mean, this thing was huge. It was as tall as a man, as stocky as Hulk Hogan, and had leathery wings. I believe the wingspan was at least 50 feet from one end to the other. I was holding up my camera, but was paralyzed with fear as this thing flew by. I didn't get a picture, sorry. What do you think this might be? Could it have been a pterodactyl? It was flying or gliding fast. It seemed to have the head of a bat. Thinking about it, it doesn't have the head of a pterodactyl. I just saw a picture of a pterodactyl, and the heads are not similar. I would think it had the head of a bat, or maybe more like a fox. The damn thing finally flew into a clump of trees and vanished. I heard you guys might be going back to Mount Shasta. If you do, please look out for this thing. If you see it, you will shit all over yourself. I kid you not. The text out where it says you'll XXX all over yourself. I'm saying shit. Because I think that's the only thing that makes sense that you would blur out there. That one sounds reasonable. Sounds So just picture Hulk Hogan with 50-foot bat wings. You got a general idea of what the Batsquatch looks like. On June 2000, we're coming down to it. There's only two more sightings. On June 2011, Phoenix Tieraz, Tieraz, which is a pseudonym, was in his yard walking his dog. It's a big yard. He went to pick up the dog when he saw something in the sky. He said the following: I saw something fly in the sky. It had bat wings, blue fur, eyes glowing red. It was about 9 feet tall, at least. After I watched it, just flew away. On April 14th, 2014, at Archbishop Hoban High School in Akron, Ohio, we're heading up the Midwest, a second period Spanish class spotted a giant black mass zip by the window of the classroom at incredible speed. The class claims it was about 9 feet tall with a 20 to 30 foot wingspan. 2015, Batsquatch sighted in Missouri. A report of a family's encounter with Batsquatch in Missouri from 2015 was posted in several local newspapers, including the Phelps County Focus. The incident was even reported on MUFON, who investigated the encounter. For those of you who aren't in the know, MUFON is the Mutual UFO Network. Henry Zabrowski is a proud member, and I'm looking into it. I'm going to see. I might want to join up, and the way things are, the climate, the current space climate right now, it might be nice to know what's going on a little more, you know what I'm saying? Or what's not being told that's going on. You know what I'm saying. All right, so a local family was driving down a dirt road, headed to the Blue Spring Trailhead in Shannon County, Missouri, when the mother spotted the creature. When interviewed by MUFON investigator Dr. Emmett Reary and Gary Hart, the woman described the creature as a winged entity, 7 to 8 feet tall, with leathery wings from its shoulders to the ground, black in color with pointed ears on a triangular head and yellow eyes that made her feel very uncomfortable. This report seems quite credible as it was reported on in several newspapers and was researched by MUFON. So what are some options that the Batsquatch might be? What do you think? What do I think? I'm talking, so I'm going to tell you what I think. One of the options has been that it could be an extra-dimensional traveler, or extra-dimensional creature, not necessarily a traveler. A lot of people believe that Bigfoot is an extra-dimensional traveler, as in they have the option to go from one place to another using portals and traveling at will. Since they are able to be, when they are seen, they usually seem to disappear pretty quick. You'll see them for a minute, but with something as large as that, you would think you would be able to track it for a long period of time. So a lot of people have said that Bigfoot is an extra-dimensional traveler. This may have been an extra-dimensional creature that got stuck here. One of the theories is that the blast from Mount St. Helens was strong enough to open a time and space rift, ruptured time and space, allowing it to get through. Which, if you see the mountain before and after the blast, you'll see it lost a significant chunk of the top of the mountain once it erupted, which would have been a large blast, and possibly, if it is possible to rupture time and space, that might have been enough of a blast to do it. And then, after it fell through, closed back up, and Batsquatch is stuck here. Another thought is Batsquatch maybe just an alien. Mainly that question gets brought up because in the Brian Canfield story, which is the most prominent, what seems to be the most reliable story regarding Batsquatch, when he lands, the truck dies. Well, shortly before he lands, the truck starts dying. And then as he takes off again, the truck works fine. Which in a lot of UFO reports, you'll hear that vehicles get stopped or electronics stop working when the UFO is near. So a possibility that it has some way to interfere with electromagnetic pulses and stuff, or it emits an electromagnetic pulse that'll shut off electronics, and then when it leaves, it starts right back up. So the least likely is that the Batsquatch is a full-on demon or monster. Just because there isn't normally, I don't know, with the Brian Canfield account, there wasn't a lot of high levels of fear or dread. It was more just an awkward stare down between the two of them. So no, I lean towards the extra-dimensional creature. So something from another dimension. It's Batsquatch. This is out of the three, it is the most highly reported accounts of being witnessed. So tell me, what do you think? Let me know in the comments on the Instagram or Twitter, or let's hear your thoughts on what the Batsquatch is and what its story is and where it's from and all those good things. So that is the information we have on Batsquatch. Yeah, it was. This is a bittersweet ending to the 3-part series on the rogue monsters of IPA. It's been fun getting to know some local cryptids, and don't you worry, I will be doing more local cryptids, but I'll also be doing further expanding cryptids from across the country and around the world. But yeah, that's all we have on Batsquatch. Hope you got a little bit of information, if nothing else, whatever, figuring out what a motel is a combination of, and figuring out what a portmanteau is. Yeah, at least you got some quality, couple quality little bits of information out of this episode. Those are both factual and can be backed up by Noah Webster. But thank you for listening. Thank you for checking out the podcast. If this is the first time listening to it. there's yeah, it was fun doing those 3, and more to come. If you enjoyed the episode, let your friends know, share it with your friends. Biggest thing is just, at least for me, I mean, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and now, as of today, I have a premium account with Vimeo where I can upload videos. But yeah, just share it with a friend. Either share the video, share whatever podcast link you use to listen to this. If you're looking for where you can find Doors of the Universe, I am all over the place. And if you go to Linktree, which is linktr.ee/DOTU podcast, you will see every social I'm on and be able to connect with me that way. You can also reach me at dotupodcast@gmail.com. I'd love to hear something you want to hear me talk about, something to do a little research on and talk about. We also have the voicemail option on anchor.fm. It could be found in the link tree, linktr.ee/DOTU podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. It helps me. It helps the podcast grow. Once they see there's more likes, more subscriptions to this, it becomes more prominent in searches. And Patreon. I'm on Patreon. If you want to help fund this podcast, I would appreciate anything that you do. You can do as little as $1 a month. And like I said, if nothing else, if you can't afford the financial commitment, just tell a friend or share the podcast. So thank you for listening today, and we'll be back in 2 weeks. I'm unsure of what the next episode is, so it's going to be a surprise for both of us. Keep an eye to the sky, and if your car starts dying in the middle of the road, get your camera ready. I'll see y'all in 2 weeks.